This happened in the Northern California coast, an area called Huda Point, and it was the fall of 2007. I was with one of my best friends, and it was just before sunset. We had gone out to a spot that we visit pretty frequently. It's a really beautiful beach spot. And it's the kind of place where you have to walk down a real big flight of stairs to get down to the water. So we had gone down and taken a pretty long walk on the beach, and it was just around sunset we were starting to make our way back. As we were coming back, heading towards the stairs, right over at the point, we noticed something in the water, just at the edge of the water on the rocks. And we saw this big animal kind of moving around like a dog would on all fours. Something about it didn't look quite like a dog. I remember going, what is that? And I'd say we were probably maybe about a football field or a little less away from it when we first noticed it. And we kind of had to keep walking towards it because there's only one way in and one way out from this beach going down the stairs. We stopped a couple times, we kept watching it, and as we were getting closer, we just kept asking each other, like, what is that? It had hair almost like an Irish wolfhound, like kind of longer, wiry hair. It seemed like it was kind of a brownish in color, you know, not super dark, but not like a tan color, like a medium kind of brown color. And the hair definitely was kind of long, you know, kind of long and wiry. I even questioned if it was maybe a mountain lion. And as we kept getting closer, it just didn't quite look like any of those things. It seemed like it got a sense of us being there, and that's when it stood up. When it stood up, I immediately thought it had to be a bear because of the way it was moving on all fours, and then now it's standing. But it didn't look like a bear, and it started to walk on 2 feet pretty casually towards the water. We watched it take about 10 steps or so before it walked into the water about waist deep, and then it started to swim off like a person would. It swam underneath a wave. We saw its head come back up, and then we saw it go underneath a second wave and just kind of start swimming out. And as that happened, her and I kind of grabbed onto each other's arms, and we started hightailing up the stairs as fast as we could possibly walk. So we watched this thing for a good solid couple of minutes. I think that's really a piece of it that I remind myself sometimes. Like, we didn't just catch something out of the corner of our eye, you know, we saw it in all its detail, and we watched it for a good long while. We felt like we saw almost like a glimpse into a different dimension or another world, you know, because it didn't look like anything that makes sense with what we know in this reality. You know, it went from moving like an animal on all fours to walking almost like a person on 2 legs, and then just kind of casually swimming away. Like it just kind of made us both, and we've talked about it many times over the years. It definitely put a sense of awe, you know, in me. I will say once it stood up and started to walk into the water, the feeling of fear kind of came in, because that was when it was like, pretty sure this isn't something that we can classify. And that definitely made us both, I think, fearful, but fearful in more of a curious way. Like, I didn't ever get a sense that it wanted to harm us. You know, it didn't give us any kind of aggressive feeling. It just was something really different than what you think exists in this world. You know, you asked me once if we ever thought about a Bigfoot, and I'd say once we saw it stand up, that thought maybe crossed our minds, or when we talked about it later in the car, we said, you know, like, what was that? But, you know, after that, I've read actually and heard some different accounts of people seeing like what other people call Seasquatches or sea wolves or wolf men and things like that. And I actually heard one story that sounded really similar to what we saw. So I think it's pretty amazing to know that there's stuff out there like that.